And welcome, folks. We are rolling on into Tuesday. We've got a little weathercast here for you. First of all, I'm going to start you with this morning's low temperatures of that glorious start. Now, usually we see an average of 69 on today's date. We were down in the 50s, although there were a few lower 60s in areas to the south of us there. But by and large, most folks were in the 50s. You see that we have about 54 for Winfield, one of the cooler readings. Now, 54 in Leesville, but Haddon's out in western Vernon Parish had 52 degrees over there. All right, so Alexandria, Pineville, represented by areas to the west. We had about 60 degrees and 61 for Opelousas, Washington, and Ville Platte. Now, what about tonight? Well, I'm afraid the glorious temperatures are over. I don't see anybody in the 50s for tonight. There's going to be an area of about 66 to 68 across our eastern, southeastern parishes. And the reason for this is that moisture is drifting in from the east. Okay, and so that's going to check nighttime readings off in the eastern areas first, western areas last. I got 62 for Manny and 63 for Natchitoches. So kind of see the pattern there. That is for Wednesday morning. This kind of represents a pattern change that's coming back into central Louisiana. And unfortunately, it's kind of a summer pattern, okay, because we're going to have higher temperatures and we're going to have a little bit more humidity. Not tough humidity, but more than what we've had. So Sinline Broadcasting brings us this camera view. Looks like a mostly sunny sky here for Alexandria. And then looking up in areas well, toward Natchitoches. We hadn't been up there in a while, so hello to all you folks in Natchitoches Parish and the city of Natchitoches proper. Looks like you're mostly clear in your direction as well. So I'll be talking about these things over the next several minutes. First of all, this little pattern change I'm talking about, it's not a big change, and things will still remain tranquil here. But there will be a few little changes. As I said, the main thing is summer's going to come back. Tropical update, what has happened to the 2025 hurricane season, which was kind of supposed to be active? Well, I've got some answers maybe for that and a look ahead what might to expect for the rest of it, at least for the rest of September. Okay, going into your radar, we see this little moisture tap I was talking about. Notice how showers and a few thunderstorms off to the east of us. That whole pattern, that moisture is drifting toward the west. Okay, and I'm already seeing surface dew points rise along the parishes and counties bordering the Mississippi River, which is kind of the first result of that moisture to the east of us coming in. Some of the computer models are indicating that we could see a couple of showers in our eastern areas by later on this evening. I'll check that out for you in just a minute with the local forecast. That boundary still remains across the Gulf of Mexico. Looks like the convection has decreased, except once you get closer to the Florida Peninsula, kind of a focused area right there. But right now, it doesn't look like we'll see any tropical development with that, even though we got a couple of lows strung out along that front. Upper level winds are unfavorable for tropical development along this boundary. Also, there's dry air to the north of it. So we'll watch it though. It always worries me when we have persistent convection this time of year in the Gulf associated with a surface boundary. Futurecast of this model indicating we could see a couple of showers in St. Landry Parish and parishes and counties bordering the Mississippi River there for a little bit this evening, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, something like that. That remains to be seen, all right? Sometimes that model's a little aggressive on that stuff. By tomorrow morning, though, for your commute, no issues, no rain chances once we get into the rest of the day for your Wednesday. We got 5 o'clock. This model, likewise, another shower in St. Landry Parish and maybe another one over toward Dritter and Rose Pine. Again, that remains to be seen. I'm shutting out rain chances for the day tomorrow. You know, I'm pretty cautious about that, but hey, it would be precious little if it did happen. So Thursday morning, back for your commute, no issues there. Looks like a pretty good start. And once again, Thursday, looks like we'll see a day as we'll start warming up and during the day there. Tropical interest areas, nothing highlighted by the National Hurricane Center except in the eastern Pacific where things have been active. Not so on the Atlantic side of that, but all right, so let's dwell on this just a little bit with your tropical outlook through the rest of the month. Okay, now, first thing we need to do is watch the main development region between the islands and the west coast of Africa. There will be more waves, tropical waves and disturbances come off the African coast, get out in the Atlantic waters, and we'll see what happens to them. Okay, some of these develop into tropical systems, some of them recurve and develop. Others head more toward the west, and all sorts of scenarios and possibilities with that. But I did want to call your attention. Let's not forget the main development region. It's been kind of a tepid year for this area, but let's keep our eyes on things there. Certainly, the Gulf and the Northwest Caribbean need to be watched. Now, the feature in the situation I was talking about in the Eastern Pacific, where we've seen a lot of activity there, well, that's been responsible. The responsible agent is the Central American gyre. This is a semi-permanent thing that comes up this time of year and even before, centered over Central America, and it can cause the Eastern Pacific to be active. It can cause the Northwest Caribbean to be active, as well as the Gulf of Mexico. So indications are that that feature is going to persist, and so there's some indication that we could see a little bit of activity spin off on that in the Northwest Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico through the end of the month. Okay, and the final thing is always watch for a homegrown system. The water is warm, close to the shore. Likewise in the Gulf and off the east coast of the United States. We can see a quick pop-up tropical cyclone in this region off the east coast. Okay, so those are three areas to watch, and those are three reasons where I'm still saying that the Hurricane Center, the hurricane season is not over yet. There could be a late rally. Some years you have a late rally. This is usually the most busy week of the hurricane season. Okay, and nothing's it's dead out there. So maybe things will ramp up later on. But regardless of what happens, Nick and I will be watching it. Okay. All right. So let's turn to your 7-day forecast now. Here's your tranquil weather pattern. No rain or storms expected here for the next 7 days. But here's the return of summer as we see temperatures holding out in the mainly the upper 60s after tomorrow morning. Highs in the 90s all through the period, with the hottest period being Thursday through next Tuesday, where we average in the middle 90s. And that certainly leaves room for some upper 90s in central Louisiana. So, yep, summer's coming back, and looks like the humidity levels won't be tough, but there will be certainly more humidity than what we've been used to the past few days, and I would say more typical for the early part and middle part of September. So there'll be a little bit of a heat index with this as well, but probably not reaching criteria for any warnings or anything like that. Okay, that's it from me. Thanks for being with me. Nick Mickens will be back with you in the morning, and I'll be with you there in the PM hours for tomorrow. Hope your Wednesday is wonderful. Thanks for your support for Sin Law.